Hey everybody, welcome to another bike review. This time I'm going to be reviewing my Czar Neuron 26-inch. It's about a year old. I've been riding it for about a year now, so I can tell you all the things that I like about it, the things I don't like about it, what I would change. Yeah, so let's get to it. So like I said, this was last year's Czar 26-inch Neuron. It's the same specs as the new one that you can get. I don't know if they changed anything at all, but the specs, the geo is the same. I'll put the geometry in the below so you can look at those. So if I say them, you don't have to fast forward and rewind to get those. I love this bike. It only came in black originally. I had it painted because I couldn't do a black bike. So it just happened to be orange. It's kind of a little bit of a sunbursty orange, you know, whatever. That's just what I picked. I kept the fork black because I like the BMX kind of styling on that. It's got a 15mm through axle, same as this year's model. Regular dropouts in the back. Very beefy bottom bracket. It is a Spanish bottom bracket. We'll talk about that a little bit. 27.2 seat post. Didn't change. The headset is tapered, so the bottom is bigger than the top. 1.1" up here, 1.5" down here. Pretty standard. Makes it extra stiff. The fork is tapered, obviously. I got the frame and fork as a set. I didn't get the overall bike as one piece because I wanted to put my own parts on it, and I knew I would change things as we went along anyway. So I just got the frame set, the frame, and the fork with the headset and the chain tensioner. I think that's all it came with. It was a pretty good deal. I had gotten the 24-inch version of this bike just before this one went on sale, basically. So I had the 24 for a little bit, and this one went on sale, and I really wanted to try the 26, so I got it, and I haven't really been riding the 24 anymore because I really love this bike. It doesn't spin as well as the 24, but it does pretty much every other trials move better than the 24s do. All your power moves are just better on the 26-inch bike. Due to more traction, I don't know. I'll get into why 26 has a lot of advantages over 24, and then some of the advantages that 24 has over 26. Yeah, but I love this bike. I've been riding it for a year. I'm not looking for anything new at the moment because I still like it a whole lot. It's nice and stiff, it's nice and light, does everything I want it to do, and yeah, I'm still having a great time with it. I'll show you some of the things I've done with it. So on the front end, I'm running MT5s on 203 rotors, extra braking power, bigger is better, right? Whatever. You can probably get away with 180s, but that's what all the cool kids are doing, so that's what I got too. I've got a DT Swiss 240 hub up front. Comes in a 15mm through axle, which I needed for this bike. It also has a changeable cap, so you can do all kind of things with it. You can make it a 20mm, you can make it, anyway. I love the DT Swiss hub. It's got way better bearings than most hubs come with. A lot of the hubs, you know, they're all glitz and glamour when you get them, but the bearings wear out super fast. This thing has not been touched since I got it over a year. It still rolls fine. I have another 240 on another bike. It's rolling fine after many years. They're great. They weigh 100 and I don't know. They're pretty good, or they're pretty light. The price on these has gone up a bit. You can still find them on eBay. You can get them on sale occasionally. But the price of these has climbed to where they are a little bit more pricey than I would like. But luckily I got mine before that happened. You can still find a good deal on them sometimes. Anyway, they're laced up with DT Swiss spokes. And I started out with Spank rims on these, the Race 33s, the Spike Race 33s, but 33mm wide. And I've gone to carbon rims, front and back. This is a light rim, 33, same as the Spank. Weighs a little bit less, costs a lot more. They laced up fine. I think I'll do a different video about the carbon rims. They've been fine so far. I mean, the front doesn't take that much abuse anyway. I haven't broken any spokes on the front. It's done everything I've asked it to do. Stays true. All good. What can you say? DT Swiss nipples. Holy rollers. I really like the Holy rollers. You can find them pretty cheap for 26-inch, which is nice. They don't make the Kevlar anymore, so it's a wire bead. Not too heavy. Holds up really well. The treads holds up nicely. I ride in the sand a lot, so it doesn't get brittle. It doesn't. The tread doesn't dry up. It stays nice and supple. This one has been on for about a year. It still looks good. I recently changed the rear because it was getting kind of worn out, but it's been great. The front end is really nice. Standard Echo 15mm through axle. The dropouts are huge on these. They could have gone to just a threaded, so they just threaded in, but they didn't. So it's a two-piece. You know, there's one really long bolt, it's the 15mm through axle, and there's another 6mm Allen or whatever on the other side that you tighten together and done. Easy enough. Holds together. MT5s. I love the MT5s. Simple. You can get them for a good price. They've held up for me. This one hasn't been bled. I mean, the front end doesn't usually give you much trouble. It's run through the steer tube. Yeah, they're great. Haven't broken any levers. I try not to crash hard. I have the HC3 levers, but I haven't put them on because the regular levers that come with it are fine, in my opinion. So if I ever break one, maybe I'll put those on. Let's go take a look at the back. Here's the other side of the fork. This is the screw that holds the through axle through. There's my 240 DT Swiss hub with the 203 rotors and MT5. Alright, so let's have a look at the back end now. Again, MT5 on the rear, 203 millimeter rotors. I think this is a Magura Storm HC rotor. I'm running Industry 9 Torch hub in the back because this one's a year old. They didn't have the Hydras available at the time, and I don't have enough money for a Hydra right now, so it's going to stay a Torch for a while. The Torch has been fine. I have them on another bike. I love them. They got great bearings. I haven't had to change the bearings. The bearings are still rolling smooth. It sounds great. Everything's wonderful. It's a regular 10 millimeter, not a through bolt, but a 10 millimeter, you know, bolt on, single speed hub, 120 points of engagement, I think. It's been great. DT Swiss spokes again. The rear has a Nexty carbon fiber rim. Again, it started out as a Spank Spike Race 33 as well, which was fine. It was great. But the Nexty was having a free shipping sale, and that was enough to get me to buy. It was 170 bucks, 175 I think for the rim. It's 35 millimeters wide, so it's slightly wider. And I think I'll do another video on the carbon rims because I'd like to talk about those a little more, but not in the bike video. It's been fine. It stayed true. I have broken a spoke. I have had not a pinch flat, but I've had some tubes blow. I'm still using tubes. But I think it was my fault. I don't think it was the rim's fault. But anyway, that'll be a different video. The rear triangle's pretty standard for an Echo bike. It's got burly welds, nice and thick. This yoke is super strong. The brake mount is nice and reinforced. Doesn't move around. I've broken a Magura adapter, but I haven't broken the frame, which is nice. There's not a whole lot of space in here. Probably can't. I mean, you can't see from that angle, but there's not a whole lot of space in here. The wheelbase or the chainstay length is as short as possible. This is a 2.4 Holy Roller, and it pretty much fills the space in there. I don't know if you could get too much bigger of a tire in there. I haven't tried, but I love the Holy Rollers. The 2.4s are fine, so that's good enough for me. Got a box saddle on here because it's the lightest thing I could find. I've been using the Echo saddles because they're fine, but I got a nice light box one now. The pedals I'm using are the HT MEO3s. I haven't had any problems with those. One of the bearings got toasted on another bike, and it was still under warranty, and then HT sent me another bearing to replace it. These pins, oh look, I got a broken pin. These pins are aluminum because of the magnesium body, so that you don't mess up the body and you just kill the pins. So it comes with a big bag of pins that you can replace them with. They last okay. I mean, if you hit something, the pin's gonna break, but that's how it's supposed to work. You can get stainless pins for it, but that's might mess up your pedal body because it's magnesium. Echo is sticking with the Spanish style bottom bracket, which some people may or may not like. It does limit your options of what you can do with the bike. And if I had my way, I would not go with the Spanish bottom bracket just because of that fact. But since you really only have to do it once, there are some options out there to deal with the Spanish bottom bracket. I think in a separate video I will talk about how I did this, but I managed to get a Shimano hub set or crankset on there, 24 millimeter axle. It's pretty cheap. It's an SLX, the M677 crank set. I think I picked it up on eBay for like 50 bucks, 60 bucks, something like that. I'll show you on the other side what it did. But, you know, you just need to find the right bearings to make a 24 millimeter to accept the axle. You put them in there, in the Spanish, you know, you drive them in. And then you just take a BMX spacer kit to space it out right, to get what you need, and, you know, and that's it. You got your cranks on. The only reason I didn't go with the ISIS cranks that come with the full build on these is I just don't like the ISIS interface anymore. It's always heavier than the modern cranks. It's probably just as stiff, all things considered, but these are probably a little bit stiffer because it's more of a one-piece design or a two-piece design. But the Shimano's are just cheap for what they are. You know, you can get the GXPs, the SRAMs, or, you know, there are lots of other options. Racing Line makes some 30 millimeter cups that you can drive into a Spanish bottom bracket as well, as if you want to do BB30. So there's lots of options out there. They're all a little clunky. None of them are really like, you know, just you buy it, you screw it on, and you're done, unfortunately. So, you know, it is what it is. Once it's done, so you don't have to think about it anymore. So, Spanish bottom bracket, nice and simple. There's no threads to strip. The bearings are just driven in there. You can get some pretty darn good bearings in there. These are Enduro bearings. It's the same size bearings that go into a Shimano bottom bracket. So if you have a Shimano bottom bracket, you can just pull those bearings out, put them in your Spanish, and you're done. You just need the spacers, and the spacers are kind of the hard thing to find. Wheelsmith makes some individual spacers. This is from an Eclat, or Eclat, however you say it, BMX 24 to mid bottom bracket. I didn't need the mid bearings, unfortunately. I just needed the Spanish bearings, and then I just needed the spacers. But, you know, you space it out proper, and, you know, it needs to clear the chainstay, and, you know, give yourself a little extra because it does flex. So it needs to clear by, you know, 3 millimeters or so. And I'll show you on the other side how I screwed up the first time. But it's all good. I think that's it for this side of the bike. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at the cranks. So like you see, here's an SLX M677 crank set. This started life as a double crank set. I've got just the 22 tooth chainring on here now. I cut off the other two tabs because I don't need them. This is the side that always gets bashed, so I made a little piece of aluminum that you can see has been bashed a couple of times, just to go into the old chainring holes. You could take a 32 tooth and just cut off what you need, you know, shave off the teeth, and that'll work too, because I think 32 is the smallest you can get into 104 BCD, whatever hole pattern. But I just got a piece of 4 millimeter aluminum. It was kind of like, it was bar stock that was fairly thin, so that's why I didn't give it too much of a coat, but it just clears the chain, and it protects for what it needs. Every once in a while I will bash it, and it'll kind of bend in towards the chain, and then bad things will happen. But whatever, maybe I'll make it out of stainless steel or steel someday. I ordered a piece of titanium to try to do this, but then I realized that you can't really cut titanium very well with the tools that I have, and I haven't decided to pay enough to have it cut properly, so I'm just sticking with the aluminum. But yeah, the SLX cranksets, you can get them for pretty cheap. They're nice and stiff. You can see a little bit of the marks here where I had some alignment issues when I first put it together because I had to use the spacers to get it all right. This is where the crank was actually hitting the chainstay when I was doing pedal kicks and flexes just a little bit because I thought I had enough clearance, but I didn't. So I had to space it out a little bit more. So if you're doing this setup and you're going to put some spacers in there, make sure there's like 3 or 4 millimeters of space between the chainstay and your crank arm. I think I filed off a little bit of the back of the crank arm, but you don't really have to do that so much because it's pretty rounded. The Echo has a chain tensioner on these because it's a vertical dropout, so that you get the shortest possible chainstay length. I think it's 378 is the chainstay length on these. That's pretty short. I'll show you. There's not much room in there. But this is how they've done their chain tensioner. And it used to be a 2-wheel chain tensioner, and I cut the 1 wheel off because I just didn't think I needed it so much. I mean, you get more chain wrap if you leave the other wheel on, but this is a 16, 18, What is this? I think this is an 18 tooth cog in the rear. So I think I get enough wraps on it. It's a Chris King cog, stainless steel, you know, super tough. I really like those. I'm not crazy about this chain tensioner. It does get the job done. It comes with a steel, enormous and heavy bolt that holds the chain tensioner on. I switched it out for a titanium. I wanted to put an aluminum in there, but I couldn't find an aluminum that had the right thread pattern and the right head on it. Maybe I'll keep looking, but the titanium works fine. And then it's got another tiny little titanium screw in here that holds the retention spring on there. You know, I mean, it does what it's supposed to. It doesn't hop off. The chain line, it's a little hard to adjust the chain line because you don't really, I mean, you could kind of throw some spacers in there maybe, whatever. That's one of the things I'm not too terribly crazy about, but it's not a deal breaker. You know, you can get these. They have other ones that will fit on here too. These Echo ones are available because they use it on the 24-inch as well. So it's working out fine. Yeah, it's all good. I'll show you that. So this is how much clearance you get on the Chainstay. Again, this is a 2.4-inch Holy Roller that's in there. And as you can see, there's not a whole lot of space left, but it's nice and super stiff. And it does clear, it doesn't rub. You will need to properly dish your wheels for it to fit in there. But it clears all fine and dandy. You can see a little bit through there. You can see the spacers that I used on that crank set from a BMX thing. So on the handlebars, nothing too exotic. It's an arcade bar, MT5 levers. The front one is routed through the head tube. It comes with, the frame kit comes with this cool little screw-in top cap that has the cutout so that you can run the hose through there. So it's relatively painless. It's a 90-35 stem, nothing too exotic there either. You know, Echo provides you with the headset. It's integrated, I think that's what they call it. So yeah, it comes with all that stuff too. Yeah, nothing really too exotic here. Foam grips, because I like super thin foam grips. Yeah, personal preference. It's been great, feels wonderful, it's high enough. I think I've got 20 millimeters of spacers on here, but you know, that's personal preference too. Yeah, all good. So in conclusion, I love this bike. It's been wonderful to me. I've gotten a lot better riding it. It doesn't have too many pitfalls. The Spanish bottom bracket, some people may not like. It's not a deal breaker in my opinion because there are options. You know, if you go with ISIS, no problem. It just, you know, it works out just fine. If you buy this as a full bike, you got no problems. It's gonna work just fine. I bought mine as the frame kit, so I had to kind of piece everything together. The rear chain tensioner, it's a little weird, but it works just fine. You know, keep it lubed. It's not really very maintenance friendly because you can't take anything apart. The jockey wheels don't come off. Just keep the spring lubed and, you know, check it every once in a while. It works out great. I have no plans to change anything on this. I've got the carbon rims now, so it's as good as I'm gonna get. I gotta change a pin, but other than that, it's all good. I'm gonna go riding now. Hopefully I'll have a video of me riding this sometime soon. I'd like to do a video of how I did this Spanish setup and also a video for the rims, but we'll see. It may or may not happen. I hope you enjoyed the video. Get out there and ride.